Hi, this is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, bringing you our daily update on the Ascending Harvest crowdfunding campaign and our project to literally feed the world. I'm coming with you today with my best buddy, business partner, and resident inventor genius here with Ascending Harvest, Shane McKenna. Today we're going to give you a little bit of a project update on where we are with our crowdfunding campaign. Then we're going to switch topics a little bit, and we're going to talk about a little bit of inspirational thoughts, conversations around when it's time to be in your warrior energy and when it's time to relax and surrender and release and let go of all that stuff that's holding you back. So, but before we do that, let me introduce again Shane. Shane, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our Zoomcast today. I'm excited about our broadcast today. This is going to be a fun conversation. A little bit different. We might talk about farming a little bit. Let's see where it goes. But let's talk about something that you can use in your life and help you to get to your next level, because that's always important. Whatever you're working on, it's important not to just plateau, but to figure out how to get to a little bit better place in whatever it is you're doing.
And this is going to be fun for me, of course. Most of the conversations that we have on these Zoomcasts are really related to technical things about growing plants and patenting process and intelligent grow media and all kinds of different things, all of which Shane is a genius at. Every once in a while, he lets me slip in a little bit when it comes to inspirational thoughts or things that, as he said, we think will pay off in the long run for everybody. And when we thought about what we might talk about today, what came up to my mind was something I call the yin-yang paradox, which the concepts of yin and yang are Chinese, is a Chinese symbol, which essentially says that the dark and the light, the cold and the heat, the good and the bad, all of these different ends of the spectrum are related to each other, necessary for each other, and interact and interrelate with each other. So what that means to me is sometimes it's really a good thing to have a lot of yin energy, and sometimes it's a really good thing to have a lot of yang energy. It really depends on where you are right now in your life and what's coming up for you. Classic example, when you get up in the morning and it's time to get going and you got things to do, you got 10 or 15 or 20 things that you want to accomplish for today, it's really time to step into your warrior energy, to get very, very focused, get very specific, get very intentional, to align yourself, to get your energy focused and just right so that you're in your highest vibration and you're able to focus and take charge and get things done. On the other end of the spectrum, when it's very late at night or you're very exhausted or you find yourself just being blocked in some way that powerful warrior energy is not coming forth, the right thing to do is relax and rest and let go and release and surrender and just allow yourself to be recharged and re-energized and refilled so that you can be productive at a different time. Such as it is throughout the day, such as it is with different periods in our life as well. Sometimes it's the time to be very intentional and focused. It's time to get very clear on what it is that you want to do and how you're going to do it. And then to step into that powerful warrior energy with focus, determination, perseverance, willpower, resilience, forcefulness, resourcefulness, all of those different attributes and ways of describing that powerful positive energy, and make it go. And then, at other times, it's time when things just perhaps aren't going right or when you're facing a huge challenge to focus on that surrender a little bit. I know my brother Shane does that. Every once in a while I see him being incredibly intentionally focused, and then he takes care of himself and takes a little nap every now and then as well. Isn't that right, Shane?
Yes, naps are important. If you have not discovered the joy and the blessing of naps, I encourage you to do so. I got something itching my nose here. Some dust. I got a dust bunny or something on my nose. I learned this philosophy of yin and yang in an unusual way. When I was young, I loved sports, basketball, and and well, all kinds of sports. I love playing sports. And I was never any good when I was a kid. I was just terrible. I wasn't fluid. I wasn't elegant in anything that I did, in any sport that I played. Definitely wasn't a natural. Nobody was going, oh, wow, that Shane, he's really great at basketball or whatever it is. The only reason I was even partially decent and sometimes made the team is because I worked so hard. But my whole energy is I was willing myself to be good, and I was just trying to force it all the time. And I hadn't learned how to let go. And so I was in my 20s, and I really loved to ski, but it was another thing that I just wasn't very good at. So I hired a ski instructor, and this guy was the first coach that I had that actually seen what was going on with me. He says, Shane, you have got to relax. Just relax your body. Instead of trying to force your skis, just ride them. Just relax. Just go. And as I did that, I went from being this struggling skier that couldn't get past the medium level hill to really being a great skier in one day. It was amazing. And I applied that to every other thing. And suddenly I got good at everything that I'd been trying to do because I just relaxed my energy. I relaxed my body. I let my body flow with it. So you're coming at it, you're introducing the topic as a business tool and a life tool, but I learned it through this physicality. And now when I'm in really intense situations, I do the same thing. Instead of trying to will myself through that situation, I just relax and let the situation come because it's going to be what it is, and flow with it, and then adjust and do whatever the situation calls for. But if you just relax your energy, if you just say, okay, this is really intense, but I'm not going to let my adrenaline pump and get tied up in it and get crazy with it, and just relax into it, you're making much better decisions. You're balanced, which is the whole thing of yin and yang, right, is keeping balance, and you flow through that situation.
Well said. I really like that. I learned to ski at the tender age of 43, a couple of decades ago, and that you're absolutely right. There are a lot of things in life that is just, you just kind of got to relax and let go and take it easy step by step and let it flow. One of the questions I get a lot from the people I coach is, when do I know what time it is to do what? And I often refer them to a diagram I'm going to share on my screen here with you. This diagram is a variation on Hawkins' levels of consciousness. David Hawkins wrote a great book called Power versus Force, where he introduced the concept of different energies having different vibrations and kind of a positive energy scale. At the very bottom we have energies like despising people and evil and guilt and grief and apathy and regret and disappointment. And real higher energies we have like peace and love and joy and bliss. The reason I bring this up is because this is a pretty good map of telling yourself and working with other people about what sort of energy is really necessary right now for you in your life to live a healthier and happier life. At the very bottom, and by the way, this is my variation on it. I took his work and I expanded it somewhat based upon my own experience to these 6 different levels of consciousness, or really levels of positive energy. At the bottom is the victim energy, where you just feel like giving up and you feel like you're weak and you're powerless and the world's out to get you and punish you at all times. The next level up is prisoner energy, where you feel a little bit empowered, but you just feel trapped in where you are. And the next level up is warrior energy. where you're willing to fight for the things that you want. So the key here is that if you find yourself with a lot of victim or prisoner energy, or you find somebody else who has a lot of victim or prisoner energy, the way to get them to move forward in the life is to get them to step forward into warrior energy, to tap into that personal power. If somebody is caught up in the victim energy, you say, hey, you're not weak and powerless. You're not entirely powerless here. You're just in a bad spot. If somebody feels trapped, and especially once you've moved a victim up to the prisoner energy, then you can say, you're not really trapped. There are things that you can do right now to make a positive difference in your life, and you get them to step into their warrior energy. As it turns out that most of the population kind of gets stuck in between the victim, prisoner, and warrior energy. Some people permanently get stuck in the warrior energy, and they don't know how to move upwards. And the way you move upwards is to release and to surrender and to relax and to have hope and acceptance and forgiveness and transcendence and those kinds of energies as you move up into the seeker energy and the master energy and the angel energy. So, at various levels of consciousness, the right thing to do is either step into your warrior energy or surrender and relax and step into an even higher level of energy, what I call the master energy, or even the angel energy, where you're just, consumed by love. For most people, though, that's the sequence. We feel inadequate and weak and powerless in some way. Then we step into our power, and then we realize that, wait a minute, I don't have to keep working on myself. I don't have to change the world. I can let go and relax and have faith and trust and acceptance and release and let the world flow in and around me and step into an even higher, more comfortable experience of life.
Yeah, one of the examples of this is we use colloquial language. We use some common language that really puts us in this victim energy sometimes. So something bad happens to a friend, and what is the common thing that people say? Oh, I'm sorry. Think about that phrase right there. They're saying, I'm sorry that something happened to you. And I know what they mean. They mean that they feel they have empathy for that person's situation. That's what they're saying. But the language is they're putting the burden of that event on themselves with the language. And so I think sometimes we have language energy that puts us, that we've developed in our culture, that puts us in a victim place. And so I really don't like saying I'm sorry unless I intended to do something wrong. If there was something that was unintentional that happens and something that I had no control over happening, I don't say I'm sorry. I say something that's much more appropriate, because why would I be sorry for something that I had no control over or that I had no intention towards? And so I try to control my perception of myself through the words that I use. So I'm careful about the words that I choose, which is sometimes why I take long pauses when I speak. It sounds awkward, but I'm trying to select the right appropriate word so that I stay in the energy that I'm trying to be in.
That's very interesting. I always try to finish that by saying, I'm sorry you're having that experience right now. It's not a matter of taking personal responsibility for that, but more of an empathy for what they're going through. I kind of wish that, nobody ever had to have a painful experience, either physically or emotionally. But the truth is that that's part of the human experience, is this experience of pain. And blessedly, one of my favorite sayings is, it's the pain that wakes us up. It's when we screw up, when we mess up, when we make a poor choice, that, we are taught, great lessons of life. At a minimum, we're taught to be detached and humble and grateful. And oftentimes we learn something, more valuable than that, like, look both ways before you go across the railroad tracks. Um, anyway, so this has been a conversation about how we as people, can really use both of those energies to our advantage. We can use this powerful warrior energy to our advantage and step into that, or we can use this powerful surrendering, accepting, loving, kind of peaceful energy and step into that too, depending on where we are in our day, depending on how we're relating to somebody else. And as it turns out, plants kind of have the same kind of yin-yang energy as well, that they not only need the bright sunshine, but they also gain great value from the times when the sun isn't shining. Now, and Shane, by the way, is the one who knows what that's all about, and I learned what I just said from him, but better for you to learn it directly from him too. Tell me about that. Tell me about the yin and the yang cycle of plants, Shane.
Well, just like we grow from our struggle, plants also grow from struggle. And, so you were just talking about that energy of growth. There's a really great saying that the light gets into us through our cuts, which means that the challenges in our life is really where we grow the most and where we learn to rely on that empowering light of the universe. So it's through our cuts, it's through our challenge that we get a lot of our growth. And there was a very interesting experiment that you might remember in the 80s. It was Biosphere. And they sealed everybody inside of a giant sealed glass dome. They were experimenting with what would it be like to create an artificial biosphere and what would happen inside that biosphere. And what they discovered is that without wind, because it was sealed, it was static, the air was static, what they discovered without wind is that plants grew really strange. Especially large plants like trees, they were also very weak. So the branches, not only were they not formed well, not only did they grow weird with the bulk and mass in strange places on the branches and on the trunks of the trees, but also they were very, very weak. It's the cells being stressed with that airflow and that wind and that resistance to that and that constant flexing of the movement in nature that makes plants strong. So there's a great example of yin and yang and they've learned this in indoor farming, is they need to have airflow. In order to get the plants to grow well, you need to have that airflow to move the stagnant air out, but also to help strengthen the structure of that plant so it can grow big and strong. But also, plants have what you started the conversation with about that rest and growth. And what's really interesting about plants is a lot of people think that plants grow because they're in the sunlight. And while that's true, they don't grow when you think that they're growing. So plants, they gather all this sunlight through photosynthesis and use photosynthesis to convert the carbon dioxide in the air into carbohydrates and sugars, and they store that in the roots. That flows down to the roots of the plant, and then at nighttime, those sugars come back out to the extremities of the plant and create new growth. So the plant is kind of the opposite of us, where we're expending our energy during the day and sleeping at night. The plant is storing its energy during the day and growing at night. Wow. So it's an interesting biological process, but once you understand it, it makes perfect sense. It doesn't make sense to try and do too much at once. It doesn't make sense to grab that energy and try and grow at the same time. It makes more sense to grab that energy, store it, and then make new cells at night to make that growth when you're not trying to grab the energy. And the same thing is true with us. You know, we need to have that rest so that we're storing energy, so that we're and we actually get a lot of our growth at night too. When we're not expending energy, that's when we can actually get growth energy, which is why kids will go 100 miles an hour and then they plop, right? And it makes sense that, you know, we do a lot of our growth in our rest period too, our physical growth. And so, yeah, everything in nature needs to have that ebb and flow, and it's this balancing of that. And when we get out of balance, we get unhealthy. And plants are the same way. When they get out of balance, they're unhealthy as well, which is part of what our system is about, is to provide that constant water, nutrient, mineral, and air supply to the roots of that plant so that they don't get out of balance. And the buffering of being able to add soil to intelligent grow media to get that mineral buffering and that biological buffering in there, which is really unusual in a hydroponic system. In fact, I don't know of another hydroponic system that does that, but that's all about from observing nature and realizing, even though we've invented this technology, nature still has some tricks up her sleeves that we want to leverage and take advantage of. And rather than trying, and actually hydroponics is a really great example of yin and yang, because hydroponics is trying to take what you do in nature and artificially creating that. And that's a bit of a force play, and it works really, really well, but there's some things missing. And that's some of the things that we've developed into our system with intelligent grow media and the other parts of the system, the other technologies in the system that help restore that natural balance instead of putting the plants in this artificial condition and seeing how much technology we can throw at it to force the plants to do something. It's a much, much more natural process. It's a passive process. There is some mechanical things going on there, but they're very minimalistic compared to all the passive things that are going on, like the passive conditions that allow all of the biology to work in nature. So we've got more of a flow with nature system rather than a forced technology system.
I love that. I hope that's the same for you as it is with our human-powered hydroponic systems, is that you have a little more flow in your life than forcing things in your life. You know, keeping in mind that there's time for both of those energies depending on where you are and what task and what challenge lies in front of you. So we hope you've enjoyed this little inspirational message for today, and hopefully you'll be thinking about the yin and yang paradox in your own life and the times when the right thing to do is to step into that powerful warrior energy, and when other times when the right thing to do is to surrender and release and let go and relax and get back into the flow so that you can live a life of ease and grace as we try to do. So with that, why don't we wrap it up for a little bit for the day? One of the things we love to do at the end of each one of these Zoom casts is to give away a human-powered hydroponic system to somebody who has gone to our website at ascendingharvest.com and given us their email address and their name, or who has contributed to our crowdfunding campaign. Of course, the favorite way for us, for you to get on that list today, is to go to Indiegogo and to contribute to our crowdfunding campaign. You can get there by going to our website and clicking on the green Donate Now button, or you can just search for the words Indiegogo Ascending Harvest, and it'll take you right to our campaign. You'll get signed up. Just kick us $1, kick us $5, kick us 10, kick us 20. Keep the momentum going so that we can be very successful in this crowdfunding project. Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000. And we use that to figure out who gets the prize for the day. What's the number for the day, Shane?
The number is 6011. Let's see if I can get that to show up on the screen. I'm not having much success. 6011. The light of my phone is just too intense for that.
That's all right. I trust you.
6011. There it is.
And the winner of today's Human-Powered Hydroponic System prize drawing giveaway is Mel Giffus. Mel is a really wonderful gentleman that I've had the pleasure to work with for a while. Lives in Southern California. Mel, congratulations. You're the winner of a Human-Powered Hydroponic System. We will send one to you when we get out of mass manufacturing, now anticipated Q1 2019, or you can at that point in time donate it to a family in need in your name. Congratulations, Mel. We want you to have the opportunity to win one as well. So please give us your name and email address at ascendingharvest.com, or better yet, click on that green donate button and kick $1, $5, $10 to our crowdfunding campaign. And by all means, share information about this campaign with your social media community. Do that early and often for a couple of reasons. One of them is that, we don't have the same connections. Shane and I were surprised one time when I took his list of emails that he had exchanged in the last year and compared it to mine and found out there was only about a 5% overlap. Not very much, even though we've known each other for years and worked together for years. Only 5% of the people that he knew were also people that I have interacted with. And so it's the same with you. We don't know who you know. And the only way they are going to find out about this campaign is for you to share information about the campaign, and do it often, because as you know from Facebook and LinkedIn, is that every post is not seen by everyone in your followers, of your followers. That it takes multiple posts in order for you to really reach a larger percentage of your community. So please do that for us. We want the human-powered hydroponic systems to be in the hands of every needy family all around the world, and this is the way we're choosing to start to do that. Shane, that's about it for me. Do you have anything closing remarks for our folks today?
Well, I would say stay balanced in your flow. Pay attention to your energy, but not so much attention that you're rigid about it. Be able to let it go and go out there and do good things. We're excited to be a company that is doing good things in the world, and we appreciate those of you who have joined us to help do those good things, because it's the we that's going to accomplish it. Paul and I could try and will that and be in warrior energy and try and will all the change in the world, but really we got to go with the flow and let it be the we that makes the change in the world, and we can help guide that energy, but really it's your energy that we're flowing on that makes this happen. So lend us your energy, support our campaign, contribute and share, and we will accomplish these goals. Thank you so much.
Well said. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye for today.
All right. Thank you. Bye.